Okay. So now we do prayer to Manjushri. Loma Dangumbo Jamba Yangla Chanza Lo Kange London Jinyen Jinja Nidare Nanda Raza Jinyen Deng Jijin Zije Nijin Dugar Lebam Zen Kanda Zip Sundara Mare Mendon Dungai Jizere Gonzo Kunla Ujin Darze Yenla Duje Yande Rudra Jendo Nyemo Nyelo Leji Jado Doze Mare Menze Dungai Nyugo Jinyen Junze Ralje Denen Dajin Saji Darzen Yenden Lizo Jaze Tuvengo Chodran Jodan Chunyen Jinde Dale Menze Jambe Onla Ndi Omara Bazanandem Marabazanande, 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 Mara Pazana, Deo 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 Mara Pazana, Umara Pazana, Den Jinji, General, Valen Demo, Member of Zan. Adan denje jonlo dovai lorde pobe no anzando so nanje jemo redan jingul jamse jada kaden sunda majiba palo jinji jinja beja jindu dima meba langwera dudu de kozungu bachin bengo nen chanza jinja zujiu shiwanen serab tamjidu Tuje Jesu Zimbranze Duzo, Kangi Shasanta Yemingam Gesar Zimbe Nondajen, Zimbe Zive Zendum Barvendo Kunmigin Duzijuru, Dujidama Kuneshi Renji Tensum Ji Konjapi, Tuambe Magarbe Jabendirin Dale Yenzur Jon, Jenzolembe Mendom Bozere, Javenam Doranjin Lenjetu, Zenzo Beje Yundin Chombarvi, Pema Junen Dale Yenzur Jon, Gombolo Duarian Devadan, Tome Nyen Cholan Chujinda, Chujun Yanam Nimbaozo, Zamlin Jinjo Nanje Dae Jon, Kore Tegaran Chenyim Bengo, Yendengunjunga Vishazardo, Nimbi Tenzi Bebe Nanjarba, Longchen Ranjam Shaje Dae Jon, Riton Jamba Shuna Jinlale, Gombe Longle Popeter Jedro, Londo Chunzen Jamze Mawanjur, Mibam Jambi Anje Dae Jon. Amonguru Jinyimba Mendunji Sheza Kunja Ranjun Duje Chimbedrin Duji Kala Kamendanawa Palden Lami Shajenda Ejon Kongi Dala Ribalova Dan Duji Tenji Menga Nalazo Lavaza Unguru Shinlabe Muji Tinchen Lamenda Ejon Yende Sanje Kunda Nyamnaya Kaden Sanje Kunel Habigan Savi Lami Shalazo Ande Osondre lamna chelanjur, kondo jujur dongi jidena, ande shelo marjur bakan suda, tindir zambi jujinjar mebe, Sembar Devanta Dandir Je, Namarian Tambal, Haike Danlu Dan Jinge, Nupam the Dami, Kenanda, Dua Bunji, Danam Jizambar, Tamje Gedo Zozur de Jurji. Manjurndo Namka, Danyam Bezimjin Tamje, Namdul Dingi Deval, Anameba, Yanda Barzo, Bisanji Jingo Burchella. Chine Kyang, Gabresha, De Chedu, Teba Chimbishonlo, Chanju Simba. Jaze Shivala, Teni Jizebi, Chunju Teni, Sushindu, Sene. Nyamsu Lawar Gyo Nyamdu, Samba Shanchu Chodu, Tujeba Danche de Sense Halls. So, first, before we engaging into this teaching and listening activity, meritorious activity, so we are correcting our intention of listening and engaging into this meritorious activities is to generating the bodhicitta or awakened mind, which we should generate in this way from begins from one's dearest, such as like a mother, and then how we willing to support and protect and provide all the necessaries, and they provide the happiness towards one's dearest, and then same that kind of sense try to spread it out to each and every sentient beings equal to its space, and that to complete liberate from this six realms of cyclic existence and its cause, which is karma and afflictive emotions, to free from these two things, and then to lead them to complete ultimate, the permanent happy stage, the blissful stage of the enlightened. And for that purpose, that I'm going to listening this Mahayana scripture composed by Shantideva, and that I will going to implement it with that kind of intention, listen this teaching. And then in additional, that while listening this Dharma teaching, be present your attention or focus your ear to the word of teachings, and that's what it listen carefully in an excellent way, without, how to say, excellent way means that not interfering any kind of wrong view or emotions while engaging into this meritorious activity of listening Dharma. And then implant it within one's mind stream. That what we need to try to implant is absolutely the first, the meaning of this teaching. And then even one could implant more, then try to implant those words which describing those meanings. So with that preparations, and listen this Dharma teaching. And then the actual Dharma teaching itself, we are studying here the way of Bodhisattva's life, which composed by Shantideva, which contained the 10 chapter with the 4 theme. So among the 4 theme, we completed 2 of them. So we are in a third theme, which is how that one could further improvement or develop this bodhisattva. And then among this 10th chapter, we completed 6. We are at the 7th chapter. So the third theme, that in order to improve improvement or develop this further bodhicitta, what we need is the diligent and meditation and wisdom. These three things are needed in order to further development. And among these three things, that first, uh, the diligence, that how one should have diligence within oneself towards this bodhicitta and way of bodhisattva's life. Uh, so, um, so the diligence could have within oneself when one able to remove the contraries of diligence, uh, that, which is in short, brief, laziness. So the laziness is the exact opposite, that which kind of like a late law our diligence, which reduce or which could kind of like a extinguish our diligence, or kind of like it can lay it low our diligence. So therefore, understanding the, its contraries, which is laziness, and then to understand the laziness, Shantideva here describing the very detailed, thorough, that how one should recognize or how one should identify it, that what kind of sense are considering as a laziness. So, and then he describing, so there are three types of laziness. So we should identify those. These are the three types of laziness, or the three types of sense, that if we keep carrying with oneself, then it will lay it low our diligence. It will extinguish our diligence. So in order not to lay it low or extinguish our diligence, and we need to understand it's exactly the opposite one, the contrary one, which is still those three types of laziness. And why we need diligence, and then yeah, absolutely, that diligence it's required in order to develop or improve this our bodhicitta further. That's why we need this diligence. So uh, that we need to deal with this contraries or the opposite of diligence, which is disturbing our diligence, to have diligence within oneself. And then to identify that, he introduced, so there will be three types of laziness, which are uh, kind of like the what do you call the laziness of procrastinations, and the laziness of clinging to unwholesome actions, and the laziness of discouraging oneself. So these are the, when we say lazy, so this is so easy, but it is easy and it is also very rough and general word. And then how one should define or differentiate and understand the exactly the what is that exact laziness is. To understand that, then we need to understand these three types of laziness. So among these three types of laziness, so the first type of laziness, that how that the laziness of procrastinations, how we should lay it low or extinguish this type of laziness, which is we already studied already from this stanza 4 to stanza 14, that mainly it is kind of like Shantideva is strongly recommending us to contemplate or pay attention the generally impermanence, that uncertainties, and then keeping sense this uncertaintiness within oneself will help us to lay it low or eventually extinguish this the first type of laziness, which is the laziness of procrastinations, which even as I said earlier, which very much does even in our mundane. For instance, for the kind of like a, that if you want to go campaign in this Canada style, right? Campaign, then we need to go at summertime. So we cannot procrastinate that. And if you procrastinate summer, then you have to wait until next summer. So if you want to go campaign, so maybe perfect time is July, August. So you cannot procrastinate those 2 months. And then to book that, all those camping ground and hotel, everything, you need to book ahead like 3 4 months. This is so strange. Anyway, so you cannot procrastinate that, right? So that is, I'm just telling, even this kind of procrastination is also very much disturbing to achieve or accomplish even a small things like a temporary wishes, fulfill our temporary wishes, even the mundane accomplishment. Also, this procrastination laziness very much disturbing to achieve. And then spiritual achievement, absolutely. So the spiritual achievement also, this kind of like a procrastinations will kind of like a disturb so much to achieve all those spiritual, such as being able to practice the Buddhist way of Bodhisattva's life, and being able to meditate upon the four immeasurables, and being able to practice or implement all these six pranjna paramitas according to Mahayana spiritual path. So uh, that procrastination laziness will going to disturb to let oneself to engage into those activities. It does. So for that, and to remove that, and then we need to understand the one thing is this precious human, and then the another thing is the opportunity that which we got by attaining this precious human, and then the more it's about contemplating again and again concerning again and again, or how to say, uh, thinking again and again about uncertaintiness. That will help to lay it low or extinguish this first type of laziness. And then the second type of laziness, which is the laziness of clinging to unwholesome actions. This is something very interesting that Shantideva introducing here. This is also categorized as a laziness in usual, according to the mundane. Some of these are not even considering as a laziness. So here now, this is one very kind of like a the little bit unique, introducing the laziness that i- as I'm always saying, that normally according to the mundane, the persons who are so working hard to do a business and do a protect their family members, and then farming, these are we don't really consider as a laziness. We consider, oh, these people, this person is so hardworking, so diligent, we call it diligence. But here Shantideva, no, 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 this is not a diligence, this is laziness. What type of laziness is? This is the laziness of clinging to unwholesome action. Here, this is very, what do you call it? The interesting to hear that we never assuming this could be the laziness. And then discouraging oneself, yeah, absolutely. And then the discouraging, the laziness of discouraging oneself that how to say, we studied from this stanza 17th to almost stanza 31, isn't it? That which is also we completed. And then now from here, that now this chapter mainly, how to say, the more kind of like a, how to say, the skills or the methods that providing all many different methods to lay it low and extinguish the the second one. The second laziness is the one that which kind of like a the laziness of clinging to unwholesome actions. So that is first of all hard to identify it, that it is laziness. And then even identify that, it is so much difficult to lay it low and extinguish, because it needs so many ideas and methods to lay it low and extinguish this. So therefore, rest of the from here now all the until this chapter complete, it's all talking about those antidote which can help us to lay it low this second type of laziness, or the extinguish the laziness of clinging unwholesome actions. So for that, um, what we really need uh, here then begins from this stanza uh, 32. Stanza 32. 대타를 미튼 촉방 때스 매당 아절 가당 돌 슐렌 왕중 톱지니 춘지 펠치 베벌 샤스. So how they translated this one? It's therefore leaving everything that is adverse to it, I will labor to increase my diligence through aspirations and self-confidence, relinquishment and joy, by strength of earnest application and exertion. So here, this English word is always like that. So actually, this is not something really talking different than the stanza 10, stanza 16. And in stanza 16, that this same, those six things, how they translated before, uh, that um, do not be downcast. If you have the, okay, now you watch this stanza 16 first for a while, stanza 16. So stanza 16, do not be downcast. That is talking about the discouraging self. Okay, so that's not the case. And then, but marshal all your powers, right? Marshal all your powers, make an effort, be the master of yourself. So marshal all your powers, make an effort, be the master of yourself. So these three things, that's how they translated. Marshal all your powers. Here now, look back to this stanza 32. So the marshal all your power means these four things: the aspiration and self-confidence, relinquishment, and the joy. So these are the four things. And then here they translated the, in a stanza 16, they translated make an effort, be the master of yourself. Those two things. Here, how they translated, be strength of earnest application and exertion of control, right? So this is something maybe English, what do you call it, would, what do you say, that English language is funny language. It can be translated in a many different way. Although in Tibetan, that we are using the same name, this stanza 16, what we use here, kind of like the Giluk Medang, Pungsok Dang, Shulang Dangi Wangsha Dangs, Tang Shulang Dangi Wangsha Dangs, the Shulen, here also we using in this stanza 32, Medang, Ngajal Gadandor, Shulen Wangyur Tobjines. Shulen Wangyur. I don't know which word is better now to use this here. Shurlembito. These are something that we cannot neglect, we cannot ignore, because these are something, if we missed this point, then later when we talk about all this, we are discussing about these things. These are the main key word that which Shantideva using. What Shantideva is really talking about here is to lay it low or to extinguish the second type of laziness, which I described before, right? The laziness of clinging unwholesome action, right? Laziness of clinging to unwholesome action. So how to lay it low and extinguish that? And that could lay it low or extinguish from its root by the kind of like a labor to increase my diligence through aspiration and self-confidence, relinquishment and joy. Now here, by strength of earnest application and exertion of control. How about that? And then was this make an effort, be the master of yourself. Whichever word, the same that word, the same meaning. That before in stanza 16, they translated, make an effort, be the master of yourself. Now here they translated, by strength of earnest application and exertion of control, right? Exertion of control. So these are the six things. These are the six things, if anyone able to develop within oneself, then that will going to be fight with this second type of laziness, the laziness of clinging to unwholesome actions. It can reduce. Eventually, it can uh, get rid of completely based on how much we strengthen or kind of like make it stronger, those uh, aspiration, self-confident, relinquishment and joy, and by strengthen of earnest application and exertion of control. So is this two things? Anyway, so the first let me ask you this one. Here, by strengthened of earnest application and exertion of control. So, Ane, is this showing two things? Is this showing two things? How to define here two things? So, by strength of earnest application is the one, is it one? Yes. And the exertion of control. But be master of. Similar. Is it similar? Meaning similar or what? So be, yeah, so the make an effort, same, right? By strength of earnest application and the make an effort, same meaning. Is it same meaning? Make an effort. Yeah, so make an effort. And exertion means also to make an effort. Also control, but it's exertion means to take control. So if you link it to self-mastery, it is take control of your own discipline. Oh yeah? Exertion of control. Anyway, so this is this is something, yeah. So when I search in the what do you call it, dictionary, doesn't feel like a very big difference meaning in this, like that earnest application and exertion. So the earnest application is like you are making effort and working hard, right? And then exertion is also like a working so hard. Hurtsun. They translated this earnest is a hurtsun. Hurtsun means uh, kind of like a, they translated. Okay, what I found in a dictionary, the meaning of earnest in Tibetan, hurtsun. Hurtsun means kind of like a putting effort. Putting effort. That's how they translated. And application is utilizing, kind of like a utilizing or using, right? Practice. So exertion. Exertion is kind of like the intense effort. Like that is intense effort. One is effort and another is intense effort. So okay, anyhow, so here in Tibetan, what he's saying, Hurlen Wangyur Tobjines. Hurlen. Hurlen is, yes, effort. That intense effort we call Hurlen. That itself is intense effort. And Wangyur is like a be master. Like the when we do something, we become like a familiarized. When we familiarized, or when that becomes so habit that not necessarily that one needs to put effort to have it that, and that's what you call this wangyur, wangyur top, wangdu shawam, wangyur top. So that's, I don't know, this exertion of control, does it giving this understanding? Okay, that should be. So anyhow, so these six things are important here, as I said. So need to understand all the six. So from now on, it's all elaborating these six things, how one should have it within oneself. By having these six things within oneself will help us to deal with this second type of laziness. Okay, so therefore, so uh, therefore here I will labor to increase my diligence through aspiration and self-confidence, relinquishment and joy by strength of earnest application and exertion of control. So anyhow, so you can just note it down. So the, how to say, the diligent, to have a diligence within oneself, we need to remove this second type of laziness. To remove this second type of laziness, we need to have these six things within oneself. You may can note it down from here, that you can note here the aspiration 1, self-confidence 2, relinquishment 3, joy 4, by strength of earnest application 5, and exertion of control the 6. So these are the six things. So now after this, from stanza 33 until the end of this chapter, it's all talking about these six things. It is all elaborating about these six things, how to have these six things within oneself. So now from this stanza 33, so it's talking about now first from this stanza 33 to 3 to stanza 33 to 45 and half. Okay, it is like 45 and half stanza. So almost how many stanzas? 10, 11, 12, 13, 13 and half stanza. It is talking about how to have this aspirations now. Aspirations. This or aspirations or some sort of like a normally and the inclinations. The inclinations. Here they translated aspirations, and also it is known, it could be translated as an inclination as well, I think. Interest, inclination, aspirations, are these same meaning? Are these three words, aspiration, interest, inclination, similar meaning? Similar. So inclination, so the looks like a little stronger, right? So inclinations, yeah, that is, it's talking about that we need to have some sort of like inclinations to, in order to remove that laziness and to have this diligence. First, aspirations. How to have aspirations or inclinations by Shantideva introducing from this stanza 32 that um, he is pointing out that towards what we should have inclinations first, and then how one could have these inclinations. And then he describing from here, Daudan Shenji Nyepa ni Pamen Dagi Shomjates, Kangdu Nyepa Rere Lang, Kalba Jansu Sejurba, Nyese Tsumba Teyi ni Chayang Dala Matona, Dungal Paudu Mebi ni Dago Chichir Nyingma Ges. So first let me read that, how they translated here. So this is now from this stanza 33 to the boundless evil of myself and others. I must bring them all to nothing. Even though a single of these ills may take unnumbered ages to exhaust, and if I find within myself no sign that faults are even starting to be cleansed, why does my heart not burst asunder, um, destined, what is it? Destined? Destined, is it? Destined? Destined? Destined. Destined as I am for boundless pain. Okay, so being, or say, being a Mahayana practitioner, or being a bodhisattvas, right? Being a bodhisattvas, and that where we should have inclinations, where we should have interest, where we should have aspiration is the boundless of evil of myself and others. I must bring them all to nothing. All to nothing means that I need to, uh, what to say, get rid of, get rid of this. Yeah, all to nothing. So here, this is something we should have inclinations to do this. So what does it mean here? The boundless evils of myself and others. So first, identified those evils. what Shantideva means here. Here, actually, they translated evils, but normally we translate this nyepa means false, false. The boundless faults of myself and others, I must bring them all to nothing. But anyhow, this book, they translated evils, should be fine, is it? Faults or evils. Okay, let's see whether it is fine or not fine. We'll figure it out by identifying that what is those evils or what is those faults. So it is all talking about generally being a spiritual practitioner and particularly Mahayana practitioner. What is our responsible or what we should have inclination towards is to self, oneself, and others. This is our responsibility to like bring them what to nothing, that those kind of the 10 non-virtuous actions and four um, four kind of how to say, four activities that normally mundane beings spending whole their life, as I always saying, right, trying to defeat the enemies and trying to protect the uh, one's family, spouse, or family or relatives, and then business and farming. So those four activities which normally mundane beings they spending their life. And likewise, those four did know those eight worldly concerns. And then further, so this is all you need to understand based on being oneself. Generally, spiritual practitioner, particularly Mahayana spiritual practitioner. So based on this, we need to have this concept. Okay. So being a Mahayana spiritual practitioners, what we need to have aspirations or interest or inclinations to do is to get rid of these things, such as kind of preventing engaging into these activities, those starting from the basic, the 10 non-virtuous actions, and then four activities, eight worldly concerns, and then further, when it goes to the further, then it related with our emotions, those normally we call five poisons, and such as a kind of ignorance and desire, hatred and jealousy and pride, as well as stinginess, and then the more the dualistic mind. And these are the emotions. And before then, these are the activities, right? Activities. And those activity also mixed it with the emotions. Yes. So those, these are all considering as the evils here. What does evil here means? Or the faults, faults of, or the evils, the boundless evil here. This is what, when we go one by one, then right now we just identified kind of like a core, main of them. So each of them brings many faults, many evils. For instance, jealous emotions could bring many different faults, and desire emotions could create many faults, and likewise ignorance, likewise hatred, likewise pride, likewise stinginess, those emotions, each of those emotions. And then dualistic mind, absolutely, that's the fundamental, the base of all the faults. And then this 10 non-virtuous action, it's 10. So, and then in the willing to engage into those four mundane activity and 8 worldly concerns, and so on. Each of these actions brings many faults. So, being a Mahayana spiritual practitioner and to, how to say, I must bring them all to nothing, those all boundless evils for myself. Okay, first of all, myself. Yes, myself, I need to bring them all to nothing. And being a Mahayana spiritual practitioner, only dealing with the one's own all this fault, it's not enough. Being a Mahayana spiritual practitioners, we taking responsible for all the other beings as well. So therefore, it is called myself and others. I must bring them all to nothing. To that, we need to have inclinations. To that, we need to have interest. We need to have aspirations to do this. Is it? Right? So this is what the faults, or here they translated evils. That's how we should identify it here, the evils. Which is, if we summarize, which is directly preventing us to able to generate bodhicitta, which is preventing us to um, have a altruistic, and those things that we need to must bring them all to nothing. That's where we should put our aspirations, and we should have inclinations to do these things. But now, here, even though a single of these ills, now here it is saying, even though a single of this ill, so this ill means all this, right? Having inclinations to not engaging into kind of like a killing other beings, and having inclinations to not engaging into stealing things or sexual misconducts and lyings and so on. And then more, having inclinations to not to engage into those 4 mundane activities, or having inclinations towards to not to engage into 8 worldly concerns, having inclinations, so having inclinations towards kind of like a to um, what do you call it, those emotions like stingy or self-cherishing. So even though a single of this ill, so let pick it up one. Okay, which one going to be single, let's say the stinginess. Even though a single of these ill, which is stinginess, to kind of like a bring them all to nothing, even though the emotion is stinginess to extinguish, may take unnumbered ages to exhaust. May take, right? It depends. Now here Shantideva was saying it may take. Yeah, absolutely. So even those very growth activities, to completely remove willing to act those, it also takes long. And then absolutely, when it goes to those little subtle, deeper, those emotions, that which habit we have in encounter with the small kind of like a conditions of kind of like a these other people agitating towards oneself, one immediately gets anger. This temper will going to trigger by that condition easily. So all this is one example, the hated emotions. Likewise, desire, likewise, jealousy, likewise, pride, stinginess, and ignorance. And dualistic is the, oh, always we are carrying together, almost. Even while we are sleeping, that we dreaming, and then we holding that dream as a real, right? So you see, even we carrying these dualistic emotions even while we are sleeping. So how? Actually, these are the things that I must bring them all to nothing. Don't make it those so important. Those emotions just kind of like don't take it as a serious. But no, we do take this all emotions so serious. You see? And each of those emotions to make it nothing may takes unnumbered ages to exhaust, right? May take. So here, one thing, let me tell you, this is Shantideva introducing that being a generally spiritual practitioner, particularly Mahayana spiritual practitioners, where we should have, to what we should have aspirations, to what we should have inclinations, to do all these things, bring them to nothing. Those things, those evils, those faults that we need to try to bring them all to nothing. And which has so many, even to even though a single of those activities to bring them to nothing, it might takes, for instance, like to bring, I would say, to bring to nothing my hated emotions. Oh, I need to implement where I don't know how long it may takes for me to completely exhaust that emotions. That's where we should have inclination. So here Shantideva introducing that towards what we should have inclinations, towards what we should have aspirations. Not understanding or identifying all this properly, where we should have aspirations, where we should have inclinations, where we should have interest, then absolutely diligence is far, right? Then we don't know what to diligent, where to diligent. Diligence means work hard to achieve something, right? So since if we are failed to identify all this properly, then what to achieve? There's nothing to achieve. Okay, our diligence for what? So therefore, Shantideva here, towards these things, to bring them all to nothing, we should have aspirations. We should have inclinations. Inclinations boost our diligence. Anyway, and then continue goes with this together with the next stanza 34. And if I find within myself no sign that faults are even stand to be cleansed. Here they translated faults. If they use the same word again here, evils, then better, isn't it? So sometimes they use fault, sometimes they use evil. Yeah, here Tibetan they use the same word. So sometimes this English word itself makes confused to us. If those translators use always the same word to same kind of like a, if in the text using different word, then maybe different word. If the text use the same word, then maybe use the same word. That will be better. Anyhow, so, and if I find within myself there's a no sign at all that faults are even starting to be cleansed, right? The although that I have to exhaust all of them, and then exhausting is at the moment exhausting is far. Even even faults are even starting to be cleansed. No, okay, no sign that faults are even starting to be cleansed. Why does my heart not burst asunder, distinct as I am for boundless pain? So now this, I don't know how this translation. This is actually it's right. Even in Tibetan word, we used to say that here we translate it here. Da ko ching chir ning ma ge, dungal pa to maybe da ko chi chir ning ma ge. So the burst, yes. But actually it means like a heart attack. Why does, okay, why am I not have a heart attack? Destined as I am for boundless pain. So what does it really saying now here? If those force above mentioned, if we, how to say, don't extinguish or at least lay it low, then the consequences of not laying it low, all those above mentioned faults, brings tremendous kind of like a difficulties. So this is something saying why I am not having heart attack, but not being able to have all these inclinations, and then the not being able to see the consequences of not having inclinations to engage into, to avoid all those faults. This is something Shantideva kind of like a teasing us, actually. He's teasing us. Shantideva is saying, why we are having not heart attack? It means he's saying we should have a heart attack if we don't have inclinations towards avoiding all those faults. Kind of like he's saying it is very much worth to have a heart attack if anyone doesn't have inclinations to avoid all those above faults. So here now, normally here, when we will going to have a heart attack, normally. when we kind of like a, there's many reasons we having heart attack. Sometimes people so over generated hate it and it makes heart attack. And sometimes people get so satisfied, over satisfied, right? Over satisfied or amazed, feel so amazed, it makes heart attack. Some people dying when they are so happy, isn't it? That is because of dying by desire emotion. Desire emotion made them die, you see. And sometimes they get shocked and then they die. That those are dualistic emotions, ignorance emotions. And then sometimes their jealous is burst in heart. That's why they heart attacked, right? They're someone who they care so much and abandon them, or um, particularly that person who we love so much went with some others, then this jealous makes our heart attack. See, right? Like this, you see. Now, that's why here now. So, to make a heart attack, only one emotion is enough, isn't it? Any of those emotion is enough. And then also heart attack could have, let's say, you are fighting with someone, and then let's say at that moment you are able to kill that person, and then later police came and catch you and put you in the jail, you shocked and you heart attack. That's also could be a heart attack, right? And then is stealing, engaging into stealing activities, consequences could bring heart attack. And likewise sexual misconduct, each of those actions could bring heart attack. And then business heart attack, yeah. And then failing to defeat one's enemy heart attack, yes, right? And not being able to take care one's family heart attack, yes, right? And then not being able to gain the reputation heart attack, right? Not being able to gain all those fame and name heart attack. Disappointed is absolutely is there. Here more talking about it could brings the consequences of greater consequences such as a heart attack. Disappointed, yes, each and every of this makes disappointed. Once we engage into any of those faults that which we mentioned above, which brings disappointed within oneself, regardless of whether other knows or not knows. If everybody aware about it, yeah, it may brings more disappointed, and then it may brings heart attack now, and then you feel completely lost, right? So you see, when we look into all these actions, the consequences could bring this way. And then all these emotions, yes, desire brings heart attacks, hatred brings heart attack, jealous brings heart attack. Maybe stinginess also brings heart attack, doesn't it? Pride brings heart attack. See, That's why here, why does my heart not burst asunder? Because now, here, not one. We have all of them. Even one of these can bring heart attack. Then it goes without saying that we should get heart attack by carrying all of this. That's what it means actually. Anyway, Shanti was here teasing us. And if I find within myself no sign that faults are even starting to be cleansed, why does my heart not burst asunder? Or why does my here not heart attack doesn't go slow? Why am I not heart attack? Why am I not heart attack? Distant as I am for boundless pain. Is it? What is that? That I didn't get it. Uh-huh. Okay. Destination. Okay. Distant as I am for boundless pain. Right? So, okay. Any beings who are fail to avoid those above faults which we discuss, then those faults will bring these consequences, right? No way we can avoid this if we don't avoid. So this is just like if we don't avoid the cause, fruition, result, doesn't matter how much we wish, it will not going to go away. To to be a wise, and if we don't like to have those fruition, and we need to avoid those cause which brings this fruition. So to avoid all those cause, and we must have inclination first, interest first, aspiration first. Without aspiration, without interest or inclinations, no way that beings will going to engage into its activities. In one hand, this is a little bit a mean, isn't it? Beings are mean. Without inclinations, I won't do anything. But this is, yes, this is. Whatever we do, that we do all those things which we have interest, even to study spiritual dharma. It is difficult, right? It is not easy. Anyway, so even the studying spiritual that we are doing because we have interest, because we have inclinations. Here, Shantideva, within this two stanza, mainly what he is trying to letting us know is that right object to have inclinations. And to this, we need to have inclinations, right? Since here, to have a diligence within oneself, we need to have inclinations. And then where to have inclinations, and towards these activities we need to have inclinations. That's what Shandit they were introducing here. So the pointing out that to this, we need to have inclinations to avoid all those faults. And then, on the other hand, okay, so we need to have inclinations to avoiding all those faults. Okay, here this Shanti they were talking, why does my heart not burst and sunder, distant as I am for boundless pain? This is something he is really teasing us. If we are failed to have aspirations towards avoiding all those faults above mentioned, and this will going to be our distant. So, and then he's just kind of like teasing us that as normally when we have such difficulties, we will have a heart attack. Even one difficulties is good enough to have a heart attack. Now you have tons of difficulties. Why you are not having heart attack? That is kind of like a teasing way. But anyhow, so the point is he is letting us understand to what we should have inclinations is to avoid all those faults above mentioned. And then on the other hand, after this, and then on the other hand, stanza 35. 다단 shenji yondeni mambu dagi dubjates. Tela yonden re yang kalba jansur gomjuna dani yonden chalaya gomba namya magete jishik tarni kewani dagi terme cheba tsars. So the second stanza is again he is teasing, same way. This is same logic, same idea. He is teasing again. And then the first stanza is mainly introducing that where we should have inclinations. So he is saying that good qualities for my and other sake. Here now, here point is the good qualities. Okay, he is kind of like a very summarizing the word. So many meanings in these good qualities. Again, just like above, those that evils has so many meaning inside, right? Hidden meaning. Likewise, here this good qualities as a hidden meaning. Now again, so many meanings hidden in this word, good qualities. For my and other sake, though they be many, I must now accomplish. Even though for each of them I must endure for unnumbered ages. And then next, acquaintance, is it? Acquaintance I have never gained with even part of such great qualities. It is indeed amazing that I render meaningless this life that somehow I have gained. Is it? It is indeed amazing that I render meaningless this life that somehow I have gained. This is what saying, if we don't have inclinations to build all those good qualities, then yes, it is indeed amazing that I render meaningless this life that somehow I have gained. If we are working on it, building on it, we can neglect this word. Okay, so this is not for us. Likewise the above, why does my heart not burst and sunder, distant as I am for boundless pain? If we have inclinations to avoid all those faults, then this word is not for us. Don't worry. This word is for those who doesn't have aspirations to avoid all those faults. Likewise, here, the meaningless, this life that somehow I have gained, saying this Shantideva to those who doesn't have inclinations to these good qualities. So here again. So what does this good qualities now again? Again, it goes similar here like before. So good qualities within this word, the hidden meanings are, yeah, generally those 10 virtuous actions. 10 virtuous action. And being able to have inclinations towards all these 10 virtuous action is quality, good quality, right? And then more, according to this instruction, this way of Bodhisattva's life, what Shantideva taught until now, he taught about this Bodhicitta, first chapter, and then second and third chapter, how to engage all those 7 branches of practice, right? From the prostration, how to do a prostrations, how to do an offering, how to confess, how to rejoice, how to request, turn the wheel of Dharma, how to request, remain firm in samsara, and how to dedicate. And then after that, how to receive this bodhisattva's vow. And then how to have a careful to not to let it transgress. To that, how we should have this, what do you call it, vigilant and introspections, right? And then those 4 immeasurables, which maintains our bodhisattva's vow. And then 6 pranjana, engaging into 6 pranjana paramitas practice, which helps to maintain our awakened mind continuously. So you see, these are all here contained in these 2 words, good qualities. Good qualities. So means these, as I mentioned right now. So these good qualities for my, yes. So here again, same, being a Mahayana practitioner, for my and others' sake, I should have all these good qualities to myself. To have all these good qualities to myself, at least I should have inclinations, aspirations to have it. Without aspirations, without inclinations, how I can help all have all these good qualities. And having all these good qualities within oneself is not the sufficient here, being a Mahayana practitioner here again. But also I want others, starting from one's friends, starting from one's neighbor, starting from one's relatives, families, towards all I I have inclinations also to all of them to have it these good qualities. You see, this is what it is talking about. Good quality for my and other sake. Though they be many. So yeah, these are the many, right? Many means these are the many. Even if we count this 4 immeasurable, there's a 4 good quality. 6 Prajna, there's a 6 good qualities. And then likewise, sense of carefulness, vigilant, introspections. All these are good qualities. And likewise, generating bodhicitta. And likewise, engaging into 7 branches of activities. And likewise, generally those 10 virtuous activities. These are all good qualities. So they be many. But however, I must now accomplish. I must have all these things for myself, not just myself, but also this is my responsible to have it all these good qualities to all other beings. Begins from one's the surrounded persons. Start from one's surrounded persons, right? But I need to have these aspirations. May all this good quality, how to say, may all these good qualities, how to say, may all being have all these good qualities, right? And that's the responsible of being a Mahayana practitioner. This is what Shantideva, here Shantideva actually introducing direct, and this is what you should have aspirations. This is where you should have inclinations to accomplish all those good qualities within oneself and within others. And this is the main point here Shantideva wants to point it out. We need to have inclinations, aspirations to have this, to accomplish all this. Okay? And then after this, again, now teasing him. How he is teased. Now look, even though for each of them, yes, again, to each of these one good qualities, I must endure for number of ages, yes, to make it very familiarized with all these good qualities, right? It might take very long for us to make it habit, isn't it? Make it habit to generous, make it habit to think loving kindness all the time, make it habit to generate compassion, make it habit to have a joy to others instead jealous, and make it able to have a equality, all those loving kindness, compassion and joy towards all others without bias, to make it habit these qualities within oneself, and then as well as to the others. For instance, this being a Mahayana practitioner here, this is my responsibility to have all this good quality to myself, as well as for example, if I use here to Ani, this is my responsible to she have the loving kindness all the time. This is my responsibility to make her habit to have this good loving kindness. Isn't it now? I must endure for number of ages to do this. Is it? Even for oneself, it takes very long. And now, not just myself, but also I want others to have it, all this. Oh, it may take so long. I need to brainwash this talking like this way all the time. Brainwash. This brainwash is somehow people are using as a negative word, but actually it is good word. Yeah, brainwash. We have dirty inside our brain. So wash it and it becomes clean. And when it becomes clean, we will have this habit of loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. And then sense of generosity, sense of willing to maintain the morality, sense of willing to be a patient and diligent and willing to do a meditation and willing to have those all conviction, wisdom. And likewise, make it habit to not to engage into killing others. And make it habit to not to even generating willing to steal others' things. Right? Make it habit. Our mind is so strange. Sometimes when we see very great things, oh, I should take it on, then immediately. The good thing is after that, if we have some sort of like a sense of spiritual, the education little bit, then the other mind will force you to, no, this is stealing, you cannot. If you doesn't have this one, then look around here, run. Isn't it? How many the people, when people get kind of like an opportunity, we saw in the right recently in America that the in a protest, right, when people get advantage, then how they will steal. That's breaking all those store and stealing clothes and stealing Apple phones and everything. Look, that means those person doesn't have that habit to not to stealing, not to generate the mind of stealing others' things, right? If those people have that habit of not to generate, willing to steal others' things, then they won't do this, right? Because it's proving that they don't have that habit. So you see, now build this habit to oneself and others. Yeah, I must endure for a number of ages. Acquaintance I have never gained with even part of such a great qualities. Now here, again now, each of these qualities, even each of this part of it, now again, how to differentiate part now. You understand? Part. Part means, okay, as I just use this stealing, right? Even though I have a kind of like a willing to steal, but at least if I don't really act physically, that means I have part of it. I don't have completely not willing to steal others' things, but I have part of it. See? Now this is with the one good qualities, right? And then likewise now not killing. There's a part and complete. And then sexual misconduct. There's a part and complete, right? Sexual misconduct. Okay. For instance, I will say, I may want to do sexual misconduct, but physically I am not engaging. So physically I'm not engaging, it's part of quality. I didn't completely have these qualities because I have still willing there. If I remove even that willingness, then yes, I have complete this quality, right? I don't remove this willing, which means I didn't complete it. But I'm not acting it because understanding its consequences and all these things. That now I have part of these qualities, not completed yet. Likewise, telling lie. And all these 10 virtues can go like this. And likewise, four immeasurable, six principle, all can go like this. Right? At the beginning, when we've trained the generosity, our mind doesn't want to give. Isn't it? Our mind wants to hold. But another mind telling us, no, 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 you are Mahayana practitioner. You must practice give. And then looking at its consequence, even not just Mahayana practice, any beings, even Muslims or Christian whatsoever. Jesus also said, okay, gain the how to say, the perfect method of gaining is to giving. So to trigger within one's mind that memory, that his advice, and then give. Actually, in my mind, I don't want to give, but Jesus said so. That is something now I have part of quality. I don't complete having generosity yet because my mind still I have little stingy there. But Jesus said so, or but Buddha said so, or but Muhammad said so, or whatsoever. Uh, Krishna said so according to Hindu, and then Shankar whatsoever. My God says so. And in short, my God says so, my Buddha says so, so I need to do this practice. That means I didn't complete. I have what do you call it? Part of quality. Part the the quality of generosity, I have portion of it, part of it, not completed. If I have complete, I don't need those reverence, reference. I will just do myself. I don't need to think that, oh, Jesus, God said so, Buddha said so. No, I want to do it. So just do it. Give it. Likewise, morality. Likewise, patience. Likewise, diligence. Likewise, meditation. Likewise, conviction. All of this. In order to have a complete, we need to think, oh, Buddha said should do meditation. Oh, even though we don't have very inclinations to do meditation, but somehow I must do this because my teacher said. So here, these two fighting all the time. Yeah, that works. Actually, it is not something that we need to worry about it. That's how we should develop. Yes, it is. That's how we need to develop to have these complete qualities. That's the beginning of having complete qualities. Yes. But anyhow, so the acquaintance I have never gained with the even part of such a great qualities. It is indeed amazing that I render meaningless this life that somehow I have gained. Now, this is something that what really Shantideva was saying is that we should have aspiration or inclinations to have all these good qualities. Okay? And not having inclinations to have all this good quality is it is indeed amazing that I render meaningless this life that somehow I have gained. This teast go to those who doesn't have that inclination. So here, all of us have inclination, at least. That's why we are here studying. So we don't have to worry about it. But we should understand towards what exactly we should have inclinations, right? That's the point here. Towards what we should have inclinations. That first, Shanti, they were introducing, we should have inclinations or aspirations to avoid those faults. We need to have inclinations. To gain all this quality, we should have inclinations. So here it's talk about inclination, aspirations, right? So Shantideva introducing or identifying, helping us to identify where I should have inclination, where I should have aspiration. And then also Shantideva from here introducing more that where we should have inclination is kind of like a, this is something like a, he is all this saying indirectly from here, indirectly. Directly what he is saying, you have never done, you have never done, you have never done, which means actually you should have interest in this, you should have interest in this, you should have interest in this. Okay, how he's saying here, 다기 좀된 마취진 같은 친구 대마진 땡라 차와 마제당 울비 삼바 조마지 jigla jigba jigla minjik majinda nyanta demajinanda ma인gal ju sungudan dungal bashi kebra says. So the offerings to the Buddha I have never made. Actually what he is saying, offering to the Buddhas, to that we should have inclination. Okay, don't take it that we never made, we made it. But now Shantideva is saying, offering to the Buddhas I have never made, which means offering to the Buddha I should have inclination. So indirect, right? This is all word indirect. And no feast were ever held through my donation. we should have inclinations to do this kind of donations to held, how to say, uh, feast were ever held through my donation. Not no, skip that no, okay? No, no, no. We can skip all this no, 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 never. Remove all those no, never, and then to have inclinations to that. Like offering to the Buddha, I have made. Okay, if we erase this never, right? Offering to the Buddha, I have made. I should have inclinations to this. And then feast were ever held through my donation. That's we should have inclination. But on the other hand, we can also use this never and no to say, offering to the Buddha, I have never made, right? I have never made. I should have inclinations to remove this, right? And likewise, no feast were ever held through my donation. I should have inclinations to remove this. And then likewise, no works have I accomplished for the teaching, for the Dharma. And this is very big task, actually. Here, this is very important. Regards to this, there are some important we should understand. Okay, maybe here we should stop here. Tomorrow I will talk more about what does it mean that works have, the no works have I accomplished for the teachings. And this is very vast subject. Very big subject. Okay, so if you have question, we can discuss a little bit. If anyone have a question. Looks everyone enlightened. So we can dedicate, so we, since we all enlightened, so we dedicate that our enlightenment. Sanam de thamje zikpa nyi, thomne nyi benda nam pamje shin, che ga na je walon tukpa yi, sibin zo len do gun do war sho, rinjen ge zo de yen do wa kun. De jen de da kun jin, je zon da lo jin, ge wan de da thamje rab do ngo, Gyewan de she okun, sunam yeshe tsozo ne, sunam yeshe le chungwe, tamba kunyin tobara sho, sanje kusum nyebe chinlandang, chunyi mingyur dembe chinlandang, genden meche dembe chinlabji, jidra ngowa melam drabar sho. So read in English. By this beneficial activity, may I obtain omniscience, and having vanquished the harmful enemy, greed, anger, delusion, may I liberate all being tossed about helplessly by the waves of birth, aging, illness, and death in the ocean of becoming. By conforming to the knowledge of courageous Manjushri, Jambalyang, and in the same way as Samindabhadra, Kundusangbo, and following their example, I dedicate perfectly all this virtue. By this virtue, may all being perfectly achieve the accumulation of merit, sonam, and wisdom, yeshi, and may they thereafter obtain the two holy bodies which result from these two accumulation. By the blessing of the Buddha, Sanjay, who obtained the three bodies, by the blessing of the immutable truth of the Dharmata, Chenyi, by the blessing of the infallible aspiration of the Sangha, Gendin, may this prayer of dedication be accomplished just as it is. Thank you. Have a good day.
Cô.
Yes, Tujilamo. See you.
See you today.
Yeah, today.